Have you ever envisioned all eyes on you and the roar of a crowd shouting your name as your hand is raised in victory? What about competing in the same sport that Zeus competed in en route to claiming the whole universe? Wrestling is a sport where brute strength and brains come to work hand in hand. We're training countless hours with little to no energy and pushing your body to limits you didn't think were possible, or just the necessary things you do to become a champion. Wrestling is a unique sport created in part through its diverse history, few simple rules, and where remaining physically and mentally tough is the key. Today I'll tell you about wrestling, the sport where only the strongest survive and the weak, well, they become merely footnotes in its history. So, how was wrestling invented? Wrestling has an unmatched history that stretches to every part of the earth, but starts in Athens, Greece. It's an epic battle between two Greek gods is given credit to starting wrestling. Zeus out-wrestled Cronus for the universe, and in commemoration of this amazing event, the Greek people made it their pinnacle event of their pentathlon, or which we now know as the Olympics. An even godlier story comes from none other than the Holy Bible. In Genesis chapter 32, verses 25 through 32, we see a story between a man and an angel. The man is Jacob, and he struggles with an angel from daybreak, or from nighttime until daybreak. Finally, the angel vanishes, but before he goes, he renames Jacob Israel. Israel roughly being translated to God Contender. Jacob is quoted after the match saying, "Because I've seen the face of God, and yet my life has been spared." So I know Zeus and Jacob didn't have any rules, but we do have some now. In wrestling, sports injuries are common, and the brutality of the sport, well, it just comes along with the sport. But we do have a few rules set in place just to make sure that nobody gets hurt and that everyone has a fun and safe experience. According to USA Wrestling Handbook, there are 3 periods. First, a 3-minute period of neutral where both men start on their feet. Second, the next 2 periods are 2 2-minute periods of starting either in the referee's bottom position or the referee's top position. So, I know everyone thinks that pinning is the only way you can win wrestling, but that is actually only one of 3 ways. So first, you can pin your opponent. 2, you can win by technical fall. That's where you accumulate more than 15 points than your opponent. And third, you simply win by points alone. So what if there's a tie? Well, that's alright. If there is a tie, there's a sudden death overtime, which is 1 minute long. And the person who initiates the takedown and establishes control first is declared the winner. So you want to be a wrestler? Well, you're gonna have to become best friends with one word, and that word is training. Training mentally and physically to be tough is the most important thing for a wrestler. It is what pushes you through your workouts, through your whole routine. It pushes you to become the top of the podium. Physical toughness is the aspect of wrestling where you impose your will for 7 minutes on your opponent. And through conditioning your muscular, cardiovascular, and respiratory system, through intense workouts, you can be ready to take on anything physically. Now, with time going down and the score in a deadlock, from my wrestling experience, know that mental toughness is key here, because you're going into an overtime. Being mentally tough will decide whether you're a champion or you're second place. Mental toughness, according to an article by the University of North Texas Sports Psychology Department, stated that mental toughness is a key to any athlete's success. Now, a few keys to remember in mental toughness is always remain positive, always prepare for the worst, but shoot for the best. And lastly, always try your best. Wrestling will always remain a sport where one person can attain their own glory and not having to rely on their teammates. Through its deep history, interesting rules, and always remaining physically and mentally tough, it will remain the toughest sport on the planet. As a wrestler, I live by a quote, and it's by Dan Gable. Once you've wrestled, everything else in life is easy. So, whether or not you feel like wrestling is your calling or not, just remember one thing. Always be prepared. Always be prepared to wrestle whatever life throws at you.